everyone, and welcome to MP Critical, a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming, and I am here with Brandon, Kristie, and David, and this week we're doing, spoiler warning, there's a full spoiler cast all about Kingdom Hearts 3. We've all finally finished the game, and we're here to talk about it, talk about our thoughts, talk about everything pertaining to Kingdom Hearts 3. And I think, to start it off, why don't we just talk about how we feel about the game as a whole?
That's just a loaded question.
Okay, so give me like an easy summary of your thoughts of Kingdom Hearts 3 without going into too much detail.
I think that the weakest part of Kingdom Hearts 3 is the middle part. The beginning and the end are pretty solid, in my opinion, but the middle was where I felt there should have been more meat into the story. The middle just felt it was all filler.
I think for me, the weakest part was pretty much any non-Pixar world.
I can agree with that.
They just kind of shoehorned Sora in. Like, he's just kind of like a placeholder in these planets. Whereas, like, in previous games, he actually, like, provided some sort of, like, either drive for the story or difference to what happened initially. Here, he's just kind of, like, a background fixture.
I agree with that, except for Corona.
I was about to say Corona.
Corona implements Sora in a really well way.
Also to Olympus Coliseum to some degree as well, because that was also very much about Sora as well, even if it was doing the Hercules plot as well. Which, to be fair, I mean, the Hercules plot is like, Kingdom Hearts has a history of just taking liberties with the Hercules plot. They take bits and pieces from that film and just do the plot that they want to do. So that one I kind of feel, because, Sora went there in the first place to, like, try to regain himself. And while he didn't do that after the completion of that world, I feel like he learned some, like, important life lessons about, like, his strength and whatever. And there's no one way to get strong. There's other ways to do it. It's kind of stuff that he's done before in the past, but I still felt it was important for his character.
Okay, well, actually, really quick, before we deep dive into all of these details, I really just wanted to know how you guys felt about the game as a whole.
Did you have any more to say? Because I'll give my thoughts when you're done.
Should we start that over?
No, it's fine. Keep going. I'm loving the conversation. Don't stop. Please.
Okay, just kidding. I mean, as far as further thoughts, the game also feels like painfully easy, even for Proud Mode.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I will also agree with that.
See, I don't know how I feel about that, because I still think 2 was a lot easier.
I still think Kingdom Hearts 2 was a lot easier as a whole, but there are some boss fights, man, in Kingdom Hearts 2 that were intense. Roxas from Final Mix 2 gave me frustrations.
Honestly, I still to this day cannot be Sephiroth, and I finished Proud Mode, and I'm not even good. So it's like this game is pretty easy. But Brandon, please, your thoughts.
Okay, so first I'll piggyback after some things that the other two have said, and then I'll give my own. So I agree with David that it still feels that this is definitely an easy Kingdom Hearts game. No, there's a few bosses that, like, put me to the brink, but, Kingdom Hearts 3 has this feature called the Kupo Coin, which is basically an auto life from Final Fantasy, where you die once and it's used. I've used it once, and that was just because I made a mistake in the Virum Rex game. Otherwise, I've literally not used it once in this entire game, and it's really is a pretty simple game. There's only in Kingdom Hearts 2, I guess, if you didn't do, like, the secret bosses, it was a pretty easy, like Kristie said, but the difference is like, I've been doing a few of the optional challenges in Kingdom Hearts 3. Those feel a lot easier than the ones in Kingdom Hearts 2.
I do agree. The optional challenges are a lot easier, and I do wish that they brought back the Coliseum.
Yeah.
But I think we're just going to go more into that a bit later.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, we will.
So
we will definitely.
My quick impressions of Kingdom Hearts 3 is that it is now one of my top 5 games of all time. I loved it a lot. I know I was just talking mad shit, but, like, guys, I love Kingdom Hearts 3. It is gorgeous, first of all, and everybody knows I'm a bit of a graphics whore. It is beautiful. I think it has some very touching moments. Like, I literally teared up up playing this game. I tear up at everything, but like, you know, I teared up while playing Kingdom Hearts. I do think even on problem mode, like you guys said, it was really easy, and I do think it has a bunch of problems, but I also think it just has that like Kingdom Hearts charm, as Kristie would say.
It has that heart.
Exactly. It has that inexplicable heart that just made me play this game day after day for 50 plus hours. And I know we talked about this before in the chat, that I almost felt like I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 a little too much, and I was like, okay, let me back away and play something else, just because I would literally wake up, play that game all day, go to sleep, wake up and play it even more, and I was like, okay, I'm a little addicted, but I loved it. I loved it a lot.
That was actually me. I haven't woken up at 5 a.m. to play a game, but with Kingdom Hearts 3, I would be going to bed at midnight and waking up at 5 a.m. so I could just play the game.
By the way, also, while she has to work, too, so she's like playing at midnight and waking up to go to work after she bought the Japanese version and played it for all of us anyway. So
I did! It was great! Fan. I love the game! Truth be told, I think I have 2 copies of the Japanese version, and then, what was it, 2 copies of the English version. And it was a complete and total mistake that I actually bought 2 copies of the Japanese version, because I bought the digital version so that way I can play it on Thursday, the week before it was released.
And you also got the physical, sorry.
Yes, and then with the physical version, what happened was that I bought the PS4 Pro through Amazon Japan, and I did not realize that it came with the physical version of Kingdom Hearts 3. And so when I was like opening up my PS4, I was like, oh.
So funny story, I didn't know that it came with it either. I don't remember that being in the advertising anywhere.
I didn't either.
It was subtly there. It was weird. Each region, I think, got a different version of the game. So the U.S. Edition, I think, just came with a standard copy of the game. The Japanese one, I think, came with like that collection of every single Kingdom Hearts game. And I think the UK one came with the deluxe edition. Even though their deluxe is a little different than ours.
That's bizarre. I didn't know it had all those different variations.
Oh man, neither did I.
Yeah, everywhere got a slightly different one.
So, now that we know how everybody feels in general about Kingdom Hearts...
Whoa! Hang on, I'm sorry. I mustn't interrupt because I still have some general thoughts.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. You scared me. Don't do that. Oh, my God.
I just want to say this before we move on. I was like, no.
Your horse.
God, I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brenda.
I wanted to say, because all I really talked about was like the difficulty of the game. Difficulty aside, I loved this game. 100%. Like, I know we were talking before about how like there's some pacing things. Like, honestly, I was just enjoying the ride, man. This is the first Kingdom Hearts game that's come out where every single Disney World that was revealed for the game was something that I had personal investment in. And that wasn't always the case with like past games. Like, there's some Kingdom Hearts games that have come out, a Disney World reveals like, I haven't really seen that movie, or in rare cases, I don't like that movie. With this game, every single world that was being revealed, except for Tangled, which I ended up seeing a few years before it actually came out, was a world that was like, yes, this guy made it in. And I was so happy to just be in all the worlds. Even with some of the worlds, like, say, Frozen, for example, which I feel had the weakest of the plots in this game, I was still having a blast just going through these films and, you know, seeing all these different characters. I was absolutely loving it. And like Jerel said, when you got to the end of the game and you just saw all those different, all these different plot points from the past games just kind of converging, it was so great. I absolutely love it. Even if it was easy, you know, I had a great time. It was about the journey, man. I enjoyed every part of the journey. And yeah, that's my general thoughts, I suppose.
I had something to add that I forgot. It was something that you were talking about. I think it was first that I am literally the opposite of you, and that this was probably the one that had my least amount of investment in the movies, because I actually hadn't seen a lot of these films before playing the game, and I ended up watching a lot of them beforehand. So I actually feel the complete opposite of you, and I had something to say, and hopefully I'll remember it later, but I don't remember now.
I mean, if it comes back later, it'll...
Yes,
yeah.
It's something...
I will say that this one kind of focused on strictly modern Disney films, which is a weird thing for me. The rest of them kind of had that nice balance of, like, classic era Disney's. Yeah, what wouldn't be a modern Disney film in this game?
Hercules is the only one that I think, because all the rest, that's really it. Like, except for Pixar, but Pixar itself being in Kingdom Hearts is completely new, so that in a way kind of feels... it's not quite modern, but like Pixar itself just being Kingdom Hearts is like the new thing, you know?
To me, I was actually quite disappointed because I think you can tell that Kingdom Hearts 3 was a game that has been in development for quite a while based on the world choices. Because, I mean, Pirates at World's End is like 1,000,000 years old.
It's not that old. At World's End, it's not that old.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
in there?
it really is. It kind of is.
The original Monsters Inc. is like 1,000,000 years old.
I think Monsters Inc. is
but that's still
on the first game.
We're in 2019. That was 18 years ago. We're talking about a movie from 18 years ago.
It was a choice with how the plot was going towards.
What do you mean?
There's some
narrative-wise.
Yeah.
Like,
especially with how I mean
it relates to emotions.
Well, I think that I don't know if we should talk about this now or later, but I think that near the end, it was interesting how San Francisco and at World's End that, what was it? The direction where the scenario was moving towards, it mentioned a lot about what it meant to have a heart and whether, what was it?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
What you mean.
I actually lost my train of thought now.
But I get what you're saying, and I actually agree. Like, they were able to tie the plot in, and it makes a specific reason to have these worlds, no matter how old they are, I guess, is how I would put
that's
it.
true.
Not essentially what you're saying, but, like, the whole fact of Baymax not having a heart and that being integral to the plot of Kingdom Hearts. Okay, I get that. I agree. You've convinced me a little bit.
I mean, but that's kind of the case with Toy Story, then, too. Based off what we're talking about.
But then if that's the case, you can literally do that with any Disney movie. Oh my god, these toys have hearts. Oh my god, Baymax has a heart. Oh my god, everybody has hearts. Yay. Like, oh my god, and I sound like I'm such a hater right now. I love this game. I'm sorry.
Well, but I think what was interesting was that, what was it, in Olympus, I think Maleficent mentioned the black box.
Oh my.
And then after that, and then it came back again at the Pirates. Guys, with the black box again.
Okay, let me say that, and I'm veering off here, but I gotta bring this up now because it was probably the most. There's two things I really, really hated about this game. Top two things. One of them was how useless Kairi was. I said it. I was mad as shit. I was like, she's ready to fight. She's ready to do something. She did absolutely nothing. She lifted a Keyblade once and basically got murdered. Like, I was like, what? Kairi, like, you've been training for years, girl. Like, what is going on? Not years, but like...
Whoa, it's not years.
It's not years.
Fine, not years. But she had been training for so long with Axel, or Lee. And then I was just like, so this is what you gonna do? You just gonna come out here and do nothing? Great. I am so disappointed. Kairi was one of my favorite characters. So I had such high expectations seeing her new outfit.
Well, granted, she was training with Merlin.
Yeah, but Merlin's like, I mean, come on, look at what he did at the end of that game. Merlin's like top tier.
Merlin didn't do anything.
First of all,
Merlin didn't do anything. He was like, oh yeah, let me go to this nice cafe and have some nice tea with this book. Whatever. What was it? Lee and Kairi, they need training? Whatever.
Okay, fine, you're right. Well, yeah, but still.
Yensid is the one that came at the end. But
yes.
Yensid was, I would say, he came in clutch near the end. But why just the end? Like, why is Yensid literally just sitting around letting everything happen?
I hated how useless Kairi was. There's no convincing me. I was so ready for her to be center stage with the trio, and she was the weakest link of all of them for me. She did.
I was so upset.
I was disappointed too.
But at the same time, I feel like it was already too late for Kairi to have any development this late in the series.
But no, we had.
No, I don't think it's that. I don't think it was too late. They could have done something. Now, here's the thing: the scene that we're specifically referencing right now, where she did nothing. Like we thought, if you're having the fight with Xion and Saix, Kairi and Axel are on your party, you think, oh yeah, we're finally gonna fight with them,
and then they get taken out.
They both get taken out. And then Roxas and Xion come. And that's why that scene has me so mixed because, like, I love the fact that both Roxas and Xion are finally awake and that they're here and they're out there doing it. But at the same time, it's like the scene with like Thanos. Like it's like the Thanos line, whereas like, did you get what you wanted? Yeah. What did it cost? Everything.
Okay, that's great.
Like we got Axel and Kyrie shunned again to get more Roxas and Shion time, which I love those two dearly, and I'm glad that they're back. And it's a great scene to have them all back. But we lost? We lost something big.
I would have preferred Lee and Kyrie like 100%. So
Same here.
I got way too much. Not come back at all.
No, I can't agree with that. I cannot agree with that. I got too invested into Days to not enjoy that scene. Okay. That is one of the few scenes in the game that got me to tear up. So to see them come back together was like very emotional for me. So I mean, that's just what
I feel bad because I kind of didn't care. Oops.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Agree to disagree. I cared way too much about Days. I can't like.
Say it again, David, because you're really low. So say what you said again.
All right. I love Days, but I think the problem with Shion and Roxas coming back is it takes these two tragic characters who are amazing because of how tragic their stories are and then throws it out the window. It's like, hey, they have this amazing story and we invalidated it in 2 minutes.
Okay,
like,
so
I
don't think it's invalidated because it took us 10 years to get to this point.
I agree with David, all because I felt like, having watched 358/2, because obviously I didn't play it, don't kill me, I watched it. But watching that, I was like, oh, this is so sad. But they've already, Shion specifically accepted, that she's a part of Sora. And like, it was such an integral moment where it's like, okay, we're going to lose them. But even when Sora is talking to Namine and he's like, okay, I plan on keeping my real memories. Like, I don't want to go through this bullshit. Like, all of that to me connected with losing Shion and losing Roxas. So I agree. Bringing them back, I was just like, but why? Like, they're literally supposed to be a part of him. I don't understand the purpose of them being their own entities. Like, they were nobodies. And now, like, they're somebody, but why?
Exactly.
Nah, I disagree because they had their own lives, even though they're part of Sora, but they ended up having their own lives.
But that literally takes away from them being part of Sora. Like, if that was the case, why would they even be a part of Sora?
They were born, they existed, they deserve to have their own life, I feel.
Well, but it takes away from the emotional impact of Days and the story.
No, I don't think it does. You saw them die, you got sad, and then they finally got to reunite, and then you're happy that they finally got to reunite after all this time of being apart.
No, I'm not happy because they got rid of Kyrie and Lee. So that
was my whole point. That was my whole point. You got something, in my opinion, you got something good out of it, but you also lost something important too. You got one emotional moment and lost another potential emotional moment. So,
okay, question for you, Brandon. Would you have preferred this if Lee and Kyrie would have stayed in your party and actually had this amazing fight and scene there over like Shion and Roxas? Because I would have loved that 10 times more. If it was Lee and Kyrie giving me this amazing moment over like Shion and Roxas, who I was like, why?
Okay.
I felt that Lee has more. He has more to lose. I think there was more to gain with Lee staying than with Roxas and Shion coming back.
Yes.
I would have loved to have seen some type of interaction with Lee and Syx or Issa before he had to like leave.
They built him up as such a big character. I'm sorry, really quick. They built him up as such a big character throughout like the Kingdom Hearts series, Lee specifically. Like, he is the organization member that we all know. Even if you don't play the other games, like you play 2 and you are here with Lee, you see him lose his best friends. And even in Kingdom Hearts 3, we watch as he remembers Shion while he's talking to Kyrie. We have those moments of him and Kyrie, and that's another reason why I'm so upset, because even in the previews, we knew that Lee and Kyrie were going to be together. And then in the game, we have these little moments where Kyrie's like, my relationship with Sora, she's growing a relationship with Lee. These two are supposed to be like, I'm expecting this big grand finale for them, because we have periodic moments where we get to see in on what they're doing, and we see their relationship forming, and they're talking about how they've been affected by the people in their hearts, only for those people to just, come back and make it nothing just to kick them out. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me answer David's question there. Would I have preferred Roxas and Shion to the Kyrie and Lee thing? So my answer to that is I absolutely agree with all of you, and that Axel and Kyrie should have had that moment, especially since they've spent so much time together in this in this game. You know, they had all those scenes together, and for the fact that they basically just lost it at the end is very disappointing. As for Roxas and Xion, I will admit that because I do like those two characters, it was a cool moment to have them come back and like fight with you. That being said, how I would have preferred everything would have gone down is not for Axel and Kyrie to get completely shafted and Rox and Xion to just come back later towards the end so they don't take away from anything. And I know you're going to disagree with me on that because, again, we're going back and forth with the whole you don't really care about Rox and Xion. But that's just how I feel. I'm happy that they're back. But I just wish that them coming back didn't have to, like, axe those other two. I wish they could have just had it all, basically. But we didn't get that.
I something to say. And this is unrelated to what we've talked about before, but just for the sake of like what we're talking about here, if like we each went around and kind of said like what our experience with the series is, like time-wise, like for me, like I played the first one like when it came out. Like I know we're probably all like trashing the series a little bit here.
No, but only because we love it so much.
Criticism is a form of love.
Exactly, we love it so much, so it's easier to nitpick. But continue, David.
I mean, like, for me, like, I played the first one when it first came out. I've been, like, anticipating every single one before it releases. Like, I damn near ordered a copy of Birth by Sleep from Japan because it came out early enough to where that was a big deal. Like,
that was such a
this
divide,
series
man.
is a big deal. I'm, like, just trailing back a second. I love Roxas. Roxas, out of all the characters in my game, was one of my favorites. His ending was so tragic initially, and he just had this weight to him. I loved him so much so that his little, like, sigil is tattooed on my arm. Like, but for me, like, despite how much I loved him coming back was sort of, like, disappointing.
I mean, going off of that, with Roxas coming back, would Nominate coming back be disappointing to you, too?
Honestly, I was confused by that.
I was so like, I'm sorry.
That nomination coming back was very similar to what I'm sorry, I know. Go ahead. You first. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying.
Sorry, it was like a complete change of topic. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Disregarded my question.
Literally, when I saw Nominate, I was like, but why? Like, it's the same thing I said when I saw Roxas and Xion. And not because I don't love Nominate. I do. But this was literally like, the game is over. And they kind of just threw her in there as coming back, and I was like, "Oh, so everybody's just gonna come back now? This is real Disney."
Everybody except Sora, but we'll get to that.
But that's what I didn't like. There's already the cast of Kingdom Hearts is already too big,
huge, yeah.
And so with Roxas, Xion, and Nominate coming back, like, how are they going to be developed in the future installments?
I mean, I guess the same way Kyrie and Axel were.
Off of the side and snubbed at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's a painful thing to think about.
But we got super off track because my other thing, because I had said I had two things that I hated. So the second thing that I hated was, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, so we can talk about this a little bit as well. How underused, I'm all about how underused characters are, how underused Maleficent was. I thought that she was such a bad like
keep talking, but
when
I agree.
She came into the game and she was like, yo, I'm looking for this box, and I had just watched back cover thanks to you guys, so I was like, oh shit, it's the box, like she knows. And then she's like, it's in this, it's not here, it's in this time. And I was like, oh my god, she knows about time travel, she knows everything that's going on, like this bitch is ready, like I'm on her side. Like she was so cool that like every time somebody shows up, she's like, you're so insignificant, I don't even care, like there's a bigger picture here that I need to go deal with. And then in the very end, she is reduced to absolutely nothing as she watches the box and turns away. And I was go ahead.
That's my thing with Maleficent. I'm so sorry for cutting.
No, go ahead.
Jumping in. So that's my thing about Maleficent is that over time, like in Kingdom Hearts 1, she's seen as this like big, bad, evil villain. And so you're like, oh my goodness, she's something. She's going to be this major villain. We're going to have to fight her and whatnot. Yeah. But then throughout the entire series, you're introduced to the organization, and then slowly Maleficent, she just loses her importance into the story. So
every game,
I don't even know why she's even here anymore.
And it's
I was gonna say that too. Like
Drop Distance, when Xehanort's like, oh, that old bitch, like I was 10 years ago, and that's it.
Like she's been. I feel like Maleficent and Pete have just straight up become Jesse and James from Team Rocket.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness.
The first episode of Pokemon where Jesse and James were introduced, they were this big threat because they're Team Rocket. Oh no, they're attacking the Pokemon Center. But of course, every single episode following that, they've just been a joke. It's like, I don't even know what Nomura wants to do with these two characters anymore. Because
I feel like they're just there for comic relief is what I feel like.
I don't think so. I feel like, okay, so first let me say that I do think I liked the way Maleficent developed, even if it was in the background. Pete is like useless. Pete's just useless. But Maleficent went from, big baddie, she gets defeated, she comes back, and then she's like, you know what, she's always that character that's like, there's something going on. There's more behind the scenes. She is the person who's thinking about the future as opposed to thinking about the present as like a character. And even so, we see this when she helps Sora in the big battle with the Heartless and the Nobodies in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like she realizes that there's more to what she can gain, or more to the story, than all these other Disney idiots. I shouldn't say Disney idiots. That's not nice. Yeah. But like, even she knows even more than the organization members, in my opinion. Like, when they get together, they're like, yeah, so something about a box, and she's like, no, like, this box is serious and we need this. And she was literally used as the plot point to connect the box in the beginning that had absolutely no payoff in the end whatsoever.
Nope.
I feel like the payoff for the box is for the next saga.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. So that's another thing I want to bring up real quick, since we're getting into that a little bit.
Then don't put it in, like, don't make it such a big deal for this one character and make it seem like we're going to get a resolution in this game. Like, if Maleficent was not looking for the box and she was doing some other bullshit, I would be fine with it. But the fact that her entire character that has been developing has been devoted to this box that is supposed to be a big deal, and it makes you think that she, as a character, knows what's going on because she knows more information than half the cast of the whole game. And I'm like, wow, how does she understand this? Like, how does she know this? This lady is smart as shit. Only for me to just watch her see it and then turn away? Nah. Unacceptable. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah. No, you said most of what I was going to say is it's a setup for the next game, but I feel like they spent too much time on this game setting this up for it's exactly like you said, it's being built up like you're going to get the payoff in the end, when in reality it's just a payoff for a built up for another cliffhanger, which, Kingdom Hearts 3, we all knew going in that this is the end of a saga, not the end of the series. So we knew that there was going to be some loose ends. But the fact that
I feel like going off of that, I feel like that not that many people, if you did not keep up with the interviews, a lot of people, they were surprised that there was really no resolution to the series.
That's partially true. Yeah, I guess.
That completely.
I agree. But there's a lot of people who thought that Kingdom Hearts 3 was good. There's a lot of people who, I'm sure, did think that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be like the ending. But I know there's a lot of people who didn't. And I guess that's kind of more what I'm speaking to, is the fact that, especially with the whole leaks and then them saying that the epilogue and the secret ending was going to be like released later. I guess, if you weren't paying attention to interviews, but like, if you were going to the game knowing there's a secret ending, then you knew that there's going to be more later. So, but my only point I'm trying to make here is that I think they spent a bit too much time on plot points that we're not going to get a resolution in this game.
I agree,
and that's my only issue, really.
I think the issue was that Nomura, he just really wanted to finish this quickly.
Then don't put the box in it. And I think he got
bored.
If you want to finish it quickly, don't put the box in it. Well, I guess you have to because we saw it in back cover. But like, it was it's so frustrating because I was like, okay, but what's in the box? Back
cover. I'm going to say this too. Back cover, the entirety of that didn't even like resonate too much with Kingdom Hearts 3. That was also, I think, setting up for this next saga.
Yeah, back cover did not. It kind of covered some plot points of Unchained Kai, but it did not cover everything.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I haven't played all the games. I just know thanks to you guys. If I hadn't watched back cover, I would have absolutely no idea what the box was. Correct?
Yes.
That's
correct. Also, if I hadn't watched back cover, I also wouldn't know about the other
foretellers, right?
Yes, the foretellers, but even before that, the warriors of the Keyblade warriors of the past that come and help you out in the fight.
That's more
You wouldn't have known about Ephemera. Or Ephemera.
Exactly him at all.
Yeah, Ephemera.
Had I not watched back cover, correct?
Yes, Ephemera's in back cover, so yeah, that's for the other Keyblade. Well, that's more of a Union Cross thing, but I mean, you pretty much know that back then Keyblade wielders were a thing. So Union Cross doesn't really even like tell you that much. Like, oh, Keyblade wielders exist back then. Cool, that's pretty much it.
Had I not watched back cover, I'd know, and I would know none of this. And the only reason I know that is because literally when my boyfriend was playing, he was like, yo, thanks for letting me watch back cover because I would have had absolutely no idea about half the stuff. And I was like, oh, thanks to Brandon and Kristie and David for making me watch it because I wouldn't have known either.
But the thing is, like, real quick before you move on, is like even that I don't think was too like the whole scene where Sora sees Ephemera and then they use the Keyblades to fight the darkness. That's a cool scene and that's a really good payoff if you did watch back cover or even if you played Union Cross. But it's not entirely crucial to the plot. No. And even the foretellers when they appear in the epilogue, again, that's not much towards the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3. Again, that's more tying into the future. So even then I would argue that back cover is still more relevant to what's going on forward than it is to Kingdom Hearts 3's main plot.
The only reason I'm going to disagree is because the black box became a main plot point in this game.
Which it shouldn't have, but you're right.
Thanks to Maleficent. And then even in the Pirates world, it was the main plot that they're looking for. And that black box is specifically tied to back cover. So I can't disagree. I have to say that you have to have known the importance of this box by watching back cover.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
Which makes the payoff like even less exciting.
Yep.
Anyway, before I move on, anything you guys want to say about this before we move on to some more positive things?
I would love to talk about some positives. Let's get this, because I love this game. I want to talk positives.
Yes.
Well, but besides that, sorry, just to butt in. You guys are ready to talk about positives.
Please.
I felt that the story had issues with the pacing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
That I like the beginning. I liked the pacing of the beginning and how Olympus did not really feel like a tutorial world, even though it was.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
you had a sense of urgency to it. And then, but what I did not like was in the middle for the Disney worlds, like after, Toy Box and Monsters, you can definitely tell that most of the Disney worlds were just like filler.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Frozen felt like filler. I'll give you Frozen.
It was like...
I don't know about Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. felt a little important.
I like Monsters. Monsters was cool. I love both Pixar worlds because they kind of felt like really cool extensions to their already established world. Like,
right.
Mike and Sully just there hanging out in Cebu. I believe that shit. Like,
yeah.
I did not.
It's a sequel to Monsters, Inc.
I 100% did not, y'all. I literally was like, why are we here the whole time? And the only time I got payoff in the Monsters world was when Vanitas came. And I was like, okay,
I wish Vanitas had more of a plot.
Oh my god,
in this game.
I love him.
Like, I felt like he was just in the background.
He was, but I don't know because
he is a shadow of Ventus after all.
Him showing up
and Sora now.
Him showing up there literally had me like, oh shit, this is the oh shit moment. Like, oh my god, like that. I got that reaction.
I was ready for a boss fight.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then he was thrown in the
Just thrown through the doors. I'm sorry, that's better than any boss fight. Him getting thrown through the doors and then getting shredded.
Awesome, but that would have been a great way to end that boss fight. Like,
right?
Okay,
I agree, David.
That would have been great, actually.
Like a reaction command.
Like a great reaction. Like, silly toss. What does this do?
Speaking of boss fights, I thought, and this is also a little off topic, but I really thought that all of the boss fights in San Francisco were way too easy, especially the ending one. I was just flying and shooting, and it was over, and I was like, "Oh, okay, great, wonderful." And I know you disagree, Brandon, but because you said it was great.
I just gotta say this: you're correct about the Dark Baymax fight. But the thing is, and like with that entire fight, I'm gonna be as non-objective as possible about that fight because. I'm going to ask you, Kristie and David, both of you. Do you remember years ago, back in 2014, when they first showed that artwork of like Sora on Baymax fighting the Dark Baymax? Is like,
Yeah.
Yes.
You all remember that? Cool. So that was literally all in my mind when I was doing that boss fight. I lost all sense of like, oh, is this boss too easy? Or is this a cool fight? I was just like, we're finally doing this fight after 5 years. And I was just so happy about it. I just like straight up didn't care about like any of its quality whatsoever. I was just happy about it. So I'm fully willing to admit that I'm wrong about everything about that fight. I just loved it.
Wow. Okay. I appreciate that.
We're all correct. It sucks. I loved it anyway.
As an aside, it's kind of cool that something that was like direct from concept art became like fully realized in the game like that.
Right.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt like another payoff to me. That just for me. That's all.
So yeah, any more negatives before we move on to the positives?
Vanita's the ultimate negative. Literally.
So my negative is that I've been reading online that there has been some slight translation differences between the two versions.
Yeah, I read that.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Go ahead and elaborate. I think I know what you're talking about.
So I know that I read online that at the very end where Vanitas is defeated, he says something completely different, or it's elaborated, or hold on. It's a lot clearer in the Japanese version than it is in the English version. Like in the English version, he says, "Oh, I am darkness," and that is basically it.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese version, he elaborates and he says, well, since Ven and Sora, they're truly aligned with light, then therefore he should be aligned with darkness because he is their shadow.
Yeah, and like I think it was also, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I read the same thing. It was also that he has to be who he is so that they can be who they are, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think he also goes on to say that in the end, it's like as long as they get stronger, then he'll get stronger too. Right?
Well, that would have been really cool.
I don't remember. So Kristie, did you see the other one where they were talking about, I don't know if any of you had seen it, when they were talking about the explanation that Xehanort gives in the end?
Yep, I saw that one too.
Yes, I saw that one. But it's been a while since I've seen it.
Same.
I didn't hear about any of this, so please enlighten me.
I can't. I would be wrong. Like I can't. I'll have to tell you after the podcast. I'll send you links because I don't want to say it and be completely incorrect.
Okay, let me go look it up. Well, let me go look it up.
Wait, I remember. I can.
There you go. Brandon's got it.
Okay, so yes, the whole thing, Xehanort's whole motivation behind the entire saga is that he feels that light and darkness should be in balance. No side should overpower the other. He chooses to go in darkness because Ericus goes into light and he feels that there's too much light in the world so that he would see a balance. And his natural curiosity about starting the whole Keyblade War, people fighting over the light, people fighting over darkness. He wants to see the world reset, essentially, because he feels the mistranslation, the English version was that he wants to create a pure and bright world, when in reality, in the original Japanese, it was more along the lines of he wants a world that's clear so that he can govern light and darkness so they can be equal, so that one side will never overstep the other.
Yeah, he wants like the world to be reset into a blank state.
Yes, a blank state, not bright state like he says in the English version. Pure and bright is what is the word he used in English, when it's reality it's more like, no, blank, so that he can make light and darkness walk hand to hand and not one overpowering the other.
So this is also totally off topic, but I only used my Kupo coin once, and it was really stupid. Because I'm sorry, I just thought about this, and I would like to rant about this. The portion where you have to like hit triangle to use all the Keyblade wielders from the other game to help you defeat the darkness. So apparently you have to move, and I was like, I was literally reading the names on the side to see if I knew anyone.
I used my Kupo coin because I actually moved, but like I was taking so much damage because I wanted to see if my name made it in. And it didn't. I was so upset. Oh.
I died, and I was like, what just happened? Like, why did I die? And then I came back, and I was like, oh, you have to move. Oh, why would they do this? This is too much. This is confusing. I'm trying to read.
I almost died there, too, because I was like, I just need a hit. Oh, wait, I can move. Oops.
Worst explanation ever. Also,
okay, but that kind of leads into something else. I feel like certain things weren't explained very well.
at all.
Like
Yeah.
the Winnie the Pooh mini games, I was playing with someone else at the same time, and they were like, "Hey, this isn't explained very well." Oh wait, this is what they're supposed to do? I had no idea. I was going back to play later, and I'm like, "This is what I'm supposed to do? I had no idea."
But yeah, the only reason I figured out what it was because it was kind of like one of those generic games that you kind of already know how to play. But I completely agree. I was like, what? Like, I read it and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but okay. And it was also useless. Just like the end of the world, I think it was so when you have to go collect your little swords. I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I agree. There was many swords to collect. That like the novelty of that idea was pretty cool to collect swords to regain yourself. But I was like, but there's too many of them.
I just felt like it was such a what?
Okay, random aside, y'all. I'm playing now, Ultimate Weapon equipped, level 99, just for explanation's sake. And that final portion of the first part of the final battle when you fight all the Xehanorts, if you use the shot lock, they're dead in 2 seconds.
Oh,
really?
That's wonderful.
Okay, so I can never get. Okay, random thing, but I can never get that shot lock to activate. How do you do it?
Okay, so that red reticle that kind of spins, you wait till it lines up with the smaller red circle. It'll say max, and you just press X, and it just clears the whole area.
For Ultimate Weapon specifically?
Yeah, just for Ultimate Weapon. The rest of them don't work that way. The rest of them.
Okay.
Like, when you said that, I was like, what?
That's just Ultimate Weapon.
Okay, I got confused for a second. I was like, wait, not?
I was so shook just now.
But yeah, I think this just goes back to the pacing of the game because I was like, everything was ramping up towards the end, and then I guess Sora essentially dies, and then you have to go collect the parts of him, and I was like, why? Like, please someone explain to me what the purpose of that was, because I still don't understand.
Yo, shout out to the fact that Sora died 3 times in this game.
Oh my god, right?
3 times. Once in the Caribbean, 2nd time in Keyblade Graveyard, 3rd time in Scala. Like, why does this keep happening to me?
No.
Also, so I was asking if anyone could explain the purpose of us having to stop all the end game stuff to go collect Sora to bring him back. I just really thought that entire portion was pointless.
Okay, I actually really liked that, though.
Really? To me, it literally broke the pacing of like, oh shit, oh he's dead, oh great. Like, I want to get back into this game, and instead I am just flying around for the next 15 minutes.
I kind of like that it broke the pacing because it kind of made you like stop and think about what was happening around you, and then you have that weird random cutscene that you can miss with that heart that doesn't know who it is, and I don't know who it is, but it was kind of cool just to sit there and like talk to it randomly in the middle of this, like you said, oh shit moment. I'm talking to this heart that is giving me random backstory. I
thought that was cool, and I thought being able to talk to all the other things around was cool. I thought having to go collect like 300 of me was not. No.
Cool, yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this. Literally, I was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to talk to these things and, talk to Charity and go. I don't want to be stuck doing what I'm doing. And it was really just annoying to me. But that's just me. So yeah, sorry. Yes, anything else you guys didn't like?
As a collective, we didn't like. I mean, this is just something that I personally was disappointed about. I wish that some of like the classic Kingdom Hearts keys would have made appearances in this game, just because there are a couple that are so like integral to the story, like Oathkeeper and Oblivion. I would have loved to have wielded those at some point and see what kind of transformations that could have had, or whatever.
We don't dual wield at all in this game, right, David?
No. Except for like the arrow guns, but yeah, it's
doesn't count. That doesn't count.
And Roxas also had Oathkeeper and Oblivion.
That's very true, which is more reason why he shouldn't have came back.
Oh my god!
That just felt like a quick cash in to make everyone happy. Like, oh wait, everyone's back, y'all. You want your character, you get your character. We all get our characters.
Except guess what? You don't get Oathkeeper or Oblivion. Ha ha!
So, talking about things that we liked, one of the things that I loved in this game, and probably my favorite, which ended up making her one of my favorite characters, was bringing Aqua back and
Yes.
playing as her.
gosh,
and I was just like, oh, this is just so great. But so another thing that I didn't like, and this isn't the game, it's just Square Enix advertisement, and I know we talked about this in chat as well. I feel like they showed us a lot of stuff happening. Like when Donald used Zeta Flare, whatever it's called, I was like, oh, I already know how this ends. And
we got shown way too much in those trailers.
I felt that if you kept up with the English and the Japanese promotion, you were shown a lot more than what was necessary.
Yeah.
Because I remember that they debuted the Sora and Aqua fight in, what was it? Was it TGS was when they debuted it?
There's no reason we should have seen that. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Same thing with, and I know this was like, and I get it because it was a lot of hype when Aqua turns around and she's like, Mickey, you're too late. And everybody's like, oh shit. And I think the hype really worked, but I just wish that I hadn't seen it, because I feel like that would have been such a, like, because all before that, Aqua's like, I got hope and blah, blah, blah. And then when that moment hits, I was like, damn, this would have hit me so hard had I not already seen it before.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Despite how much emotional impact that scene had for me regardless, I mean, Aqua is one of my favorite characters of the series, so bringing her back was amazing. Especially that way.
It's probably one of my favorite parts. As a matter of fact, I think that the game really became my favorite game towards the end when I just got to kick ass and got all the characters.
I wish that after you finish the game, I wish that the game actually started back at the very end of San Francisco, so that way you can go and do that
and just
Aqua boss fight and just do all of that over again, because that was honestly out of the entire game, I think that entire section at the very end is my favorite.
Yes, everything relating to Aqua was amazing to me.
And even then, just playing as Aqua was great. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh yeah, we're just going to be playing as Riku, but then it's like, wait, what?
Then Aqua too.
And the land of departure was so gorgeous.
Oh, it so was, man.
Oh, yes.
If I could have just gone back there to walk around and grab a single treasure chest, I would have been perfectly okay with that.
Yep, like the final world. Yeah, it's the same thing. I wish we could have done that, actually.
Yeah, because it was just so beautiful. I was in awe. Like, I teared up the second we saved Aqua. The scene where she's restoring the land of departure.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this blew my mind, but out of the entire series, I thought that Sora was wearing short sleeve shirt, and so when the wind was blowing and it revealed that what? He's wearing sleeveless? What is this?
I think there's like a picture of him for, I want to say Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix that kind of shows his like hoodie kind of sliding off, and you can see that he has no sleeves underneath it.
It just blew my mind. Like the entire time I thought that he was wearing like a V-neck t-shirt. No, I was not expecting a sleeveless top. What is this?
The fashion choice is questionable for the weather.
So one of the other things that I had been one of those people that was advocating for everyone to play Kingdom Hearts, just because, like, even if you didn't know the story, I was like, just enjoy it as a game. It's a fun game. It's got great mechanics. It's beautiful. You've probably seen the Disney movies, and it's just great to go through them with a new perspective or see, where this game takes those stories. And so I did convince a few people to play the game just off of that. And once I finished it, I was like, I probably should not have done that, because the best, like we were saying, I think the best part of the game was after San Francisco, the payoff for everything that fans had been waiting for. And honestly, if you hadn't played anything before that, it is pretty much just what is going on for the second half of the game, which I think is the best half of the game. So it just, to me, that was another kind of disappointment. I kind of wish that even if you watch the little, what are they called, the videos?
Yeah, the little movies.
They were so, and I know there's only so much you can do, and I'm just complaining for complaint's sake. But I just wish that the Disney World had the levity and like the levity of the second half of the game. I wish that they were more I don't know. I just wish, I don't know. But at the same time, I just thought they were beautiful and big. And I spent so many hours in Toy Story, like, and it was gorgeous. And I loved it. But even still, I prefer and oh my God, San Francisco is freaking huge. And so is the Pirates World. And there's so much to explore. But I just wish I wish the whole game had that same feeling that I got from the second half. I don't know.
I felt that part of the issue was the fact that we only stayed with Sora, and that Sora, his mission was to go to mostly the Disney worlds, while Riku and Mickey, they went to the Dark World. I felt that for some stories, it would have worked better if Riku actually visited the place instead. Like with Arendelle, I felt like the story would have been better if it was Riku instead of Sora. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I agree with that.
Oh my God, yes.
So,
Just because
he to the Disney worlds instead of just Sora, basically.
Yeah, but also it's like there are some characters that, like with Elsa, Riku knows where she's coming from.
Exactly.
That she has to hide her power and whatnot. Yes. I felt like there would have been more payoff with him visiting Arendelle than Sora.
Bruh, Axel as a pirate, give it to me.
Oh my God, yes.
Axel and different.
Whoa, hold on. That's a good. Whoa, that's a great idea. Yo, can we go back to Caribbean, do the On Stranger Tides, but just be Axel instead?
Which, okay, another issue that I have is Axel and his usefulness in this game, because he was essentially a boss fight more than once in the series, and he's reduced to Kairi having to jump in front of him after training, after he's already, like, I understand he just got a Keyblade, I get it, like, I know he doesn't know how to wield it, whatever, but Axel's supposed to be stronger than this. And y'all just, no, that's my boo. Axel's bae. Like, he is one of my bae. Like,
okay, and that's a positive I want to say about it. While it's a shame what happened to him after everything, his Keyblade style is so sick. And not only that, I watched a video this morning about someone just did a video where they just showed all of Kairi and Axel's moveset. Like, just did in that first part of the battle, they didn't fight at all. They just had the gummy phone aiming at them, seeing what kind of moves they do. Axel, his Keyblade he can form change them into his chakrams for range attacks. I'm like, oh my God, it would have been great if he had more time to use it. But for as long as he was using it, it was so cool.
For the 2 seconds before he got kicked out.
Yeah, it was so cool. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see that more in the future.
Just think, we would have gotten more if we didn't get Roxas and Shion back.
I knew you were going to
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but Roxas is cool and Axel. Damn! What's up?
Oh! Don't go there. We're not doing this, Brendan. Don't go there.
Okay, so something that I think was a little disappointing was kind of like how Kristie said, Riku and Mickey just go to the Dark World. They just go to the beach and then died twice.
I know.
What significance do Riku and Mickey even have in this game besides being in the background like Lee and Kairi were? I feel like they just kind of everyone's great in the sidelines.
Okay, so when they were like, oh yeah, Riku and Mickey will go and retrace Aqua's step, I was like, oh great, this is so cool. We're going to go through the Disney worlds that Aqua visited in 2.8. What do we get? No, we get this thing where they go to the beach and they died, and Riku got a haircut for some reason the first time.
Wait a minute. Why would they go to the Aqua's world? Those worlds don't exist in the Dark World anymore.
But shit, lure it up. I don't know.
But because as cool as that would be, because I thought that too. Oh yeah, Riku's going to Dark World. It's going to be so great. He's going to have time in the Dark World. I was like, but will it be though? Because now everything that would have been interesting about the Dark World is just not there anymore. Aqua got it all before it's gone.
I'm sure there could have been some worlds in the darkness. We could have had something.
Yeah.
Arendelle in the darkness would have been really cool because it would have narrative-wise.
Yes. Because
if Riku's like, hey, what's this frozen thing that looks like it's covered in darkness? Oh shit, Arendelle.
That's kind of how I felt actually when we were in the labyrinth in the Frozen world. As fillery as that labyrinth was, I loved that because that's exactly what you're just describing to me right now. The icy frozen labyrinth felt like what Frozen would have been Arendelle would have been if it was in the Dark World, because the music was so beautiful yet dark and ominous, and it was
Arendelle was in the Dark World because I fell off that stupid ass mountain 3 times. And I was like, this is no.
I know. You climbed the mountain 3 times only to be kicked off of it.
Yes.
It's in the Dark World in my heart, and in my heart everything's real. So
there you go. So I do have a question, guys. Maybe you guys can answer it because I was having this conversation with someone and it was never answered. Larxene, who I also love. I love Axel and Larxene and Aqua. Like, they're top 3. In the end, when she's disappearing, she says, and help me out.
Oh, it's like that. It's her secret. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
What is her secret? Was it that
that's
she
a good.
just?
Oh,
'Cause
excellent question.
I thought that it was just that she didn't want it, because from what I got from it was that she just didn't want to be alone, and these were kind of her friends, even if they're kind of shitty friends. This is all she has.
Well, it's explained in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross.
Oh, explain to me, please. Because I was like, oh, or maybe I was like, oh my god, my little baby's a lesbian and she's got a little girlfriend, and I don't know. I was just, my mind was going, I don't know. Please tell me what's up with that.
Well, Larxene and the Nameless Star in the final world, they all tie back to Union Cross. So players who have been actively keeping up with the story for Union Cross, that's their payoff too, is that they're like, oh, we know what's going on. Oh, this Nameless Star could be this character.
Basically, she's go ahead.
I think Brandon can explain a bit more since he's more up to date about the story than I am. But
yeah, all it really is that I think so Jerel, I'm gonna ask you if you remember this, because this is something that you had brought up in our chat as well. You remember the scene where Xemnas talks to Demyx, Luxord, Larxene, and Marluxia said you have the ancient Keyblade history?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, what does that mean? Yes, I remember that too.
Yeah, so basically, it just relates to the fact that those 4, Luxord and Demyx as well, apparently, even though we haven't seen them yet in Union Cross, but specifically Marluxia and Elrina and Larxene in their past life was Lariam and Elrina, who were Keyblade wielders that existed back in the ancient times. So how they exist in the present, I guess, is a question that'll be explained later. But those two were total buddies, and I think she might have even felt something more for Marluxia than beyond just buddies based on her demeanor. But I guess we'll see.
So essentially, I was it's just that she kind of wants to hang out with her peeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
But she didn't want to admit it. Okay.
But the one thing I did love about Kingdom Hearts 3 was the loading screen and how it's that faux Instagram page. I love all the memes that came out from it. And David and I, we were talking about this, and we're pretty sure it's Charity that's been taking all the pictures. Because there's some scenes that you're like, I'm pretty sure that Sora or Riku or Kairi, they would not be taking a picture of this. It has to be somebody else.
So speaking of cute things and things that we like, I think it was a GameStop article that I was reading that talked about the redemption of Donald Duck in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and I totally agreed with it. I think that Donald in this game, I didn't need to ask for healing. He was on point. I was healed throughout the game. And I was like, Donald, what's going on? I like this. And also, he, for me, had a lot of the funniest lines and the best comebacks. And Goofy...
This is the best Donald's ever been.
It really is. I was like...
the same for Goofy, though.
Yes, I was going to say Goofy as well.
Was so smart. Goofy was coming in clutch every time he could.
Goofy has low-key always been smart, especially in Kingdom Hearts 2.
He's a genius. Time. He knows exactly what's going on. Okay, Goofy, please lead us.
Clearly, I'm not fit for this job.
Right. He really, I mean, honestly, though, Sora really is not, which is why, and I this is another complaint that I have, but this is just a trope that happens when your hero character has to go off on their own and be stupid. And I was like, literally, Sora, you realize that you're dumb as fuck. And if you go by yourself, you're gonna die. And you know what happens when he goes by himself? He dies because he's an idiot. So when he tried to leave behind Donald and Goofy, I was like, please, no. Which... Another thing that I feel is not touched upon is how, and I talked about this too, how important the relationship between Sora, Donald, and Goofy is in this game. Because when people say the trio, they're talking about the Destiny trio. But when I think of the trio, I feel like Sora has literally spent, at this point, way more of his formative years and time with Donald and Goofy. And they've gone through so many adventures. And even in the very end, when we do lose Sora and, Kairi's there with him, I'm just like... My first thought was damn, how do Goofy and Donald feel? Because I feel like they would be as devastated, if not possibly more so, because Sora's been missing in Kairi and Riku's life in a significant way for a very long time. And in all of that time, he was with Donald and Goofy. So I wish that there was more of a... and I love that they were with us in the very end. When they come
I agree.
up. I was like, thank God that like
I
they're
have mixed
here.
feelings about that.
Really?
Me and Kristie agree on this.
I have mixed feelings about that. I felt like it would have been better with Riku and Aqua at the very end instead of Donald and Goofy, just because out of the entire cast who Xehanort has hurt, it has been like Riku who he possessed, and also Aqua who he practically like possessed Terra's body.
But this isn't about
and destroyed Ven.
But okay,
like,
I agree.
Aqua and Riku have so much more significance to Xehanort than Donald or Goofy. Donald and Goofy are just Sora's companions.
I
Sora
agree.
almost has zero significance for Xehanort.
But this is so. That's what I was gonna say. I agree, but this is Sora's story, and with it being Sora's story, I think that his two best friends should have been there with him in the end, and I think it was the right choice. But I do agree that like they, Riku and Aqua, essentially Aqua probably has way more invested in this than all of them. So I
want.
Go ahead.
I want to say this because I'm actually in agreement with both of you, and I'll tell you exactly how I think this whole thing should have gone. Because Jerel is right, because Donald and Goofy have been with her at the beginning, so I absolutely love the fact that they were there to the end. But what David and Kristie are saying are absolutely valid, that all of these Keyblade wielders have a reason to want to take down Xehanort, and they should have gotten their chance to. So what I would have preferred, and this is the big finale for the whole Xehanort saga. I think how when we were fighting all the different 13 organization members, you had like different party members you were going forward. I think it should have been. I think it should have been a thing where you're fighting Xehanort. He already had these different forms anyway, these different phases. I think it should have been that there would have been a rotating party members for that, and Donald and Goofy at the very end, because they really should have gotten their chance to get something as Xehanort. Terra, especially Aqua. They all had reason to go after him, but they kind of didn't get their chance to. They got to get parts of him, but they didn't get a chance to get the big guy.
I think it's okay because this is Sora's saga, and they've been with him since day one.
In the end, I'm more on the side of Donald and Goofy, but I would have preferred they would have gotten something too. But
But I do see y'all point, and I actually agree. Like Aqua should have been able to kick his ass because like he's been fucking with her for a long time. Like this is she definitely should have had that moment. But also I think that would have also been weird because Riku and Sora, sure, but like Aqua and Sora, like they don't essentially know each other at all. Right?
But, well, they kind of do, but...
Like, he finds out about Aqua, like, basically in this game. And he's like, oh, this is her.
They met before, back in Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, but he doesn't remember.
Right?
So that doesn't count. He don't remember. He has no idea who she is.
But even then, still, Aqua, she's more invested into taking Xehanort down just because he did hurt two of her friends and also Ericus.
Yeah, I agree with that. I personally just think, as this being Sora Saga, I think it's a very fitting way to go out. Knowing that Sora, like this is the end of Sora, I am very happy that Donald and Goofy were by his side.
About that. About that, if you have kept up with the Japanese interviews, I think Nomura did state that Kingdom Hearts will be Sora's story.
Yeah, he did say that.
So Sora will always be the protagonist of Kingdom Hearts, no matter what.
Elaborate.
So even though we know that the end that Sora is gone, if you kept up with the interview and actually read that interview before playing Kingdom Hearts 3, you would have known that, Sora's not really dead. They're going to find a way to revive him for what was it, Kingdom Hearts 4, whatever the next Kingdom Hearts game will be.
Yeah. So another question then, because I haven't played The World Ends With You, and every time I ask this, nobody answers me. So I'm going to ask y'all and put y'all on the spot right now. The plot of The World Ends With You is you in Shibuya Station dead trying to come back to life, right?
Yes.
And Sora is supposedly in Shibuya Station in the secret video, right?
Crossing.
Yes.
So like, okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Well, but to elaborate on that, David, have you finished The World Ends With You final mix or final remix yet, or no?
Working on the final remix, almost finished with Beats Week, or Beats Time as partner.
Because there's an ending that I want to tell you guys, because I read up about it, that it completely makes sense as to why Sora's in The World Ends With You Shibuya. and I can't say it because David hasn't finished it. I don't want to ruin.
And I don't want to hear it either, to be honest, because I want to play it eventually. So
Brandon,
Well,
we gotta play the World Ends with
Get
you
on
because
it.
I literally just put it.
I
in my
will
notes.
play it, but I don't want to hear it now. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But we gotta play it. We gotta play it.
We will. We will.
mean,
Yes,
We also
but
need
there's
to-
something about the ending of. But yeah. But yeah, something about the ending of the final remix for what was it for the new scenario. It makes sense as to why Sora is in Shibuya. That's all I'm going to say. It makes sense.
All right.
Well, does it make sense why Riku's in Baron Rex? Does anybody know why I have Somnus mixed with Dearly Beloved? Like, what is going on? Does anybody understand? I really want to play this game really badly. Give it to me. I am so down for Riku being in Final Fantasy, y'all. Yes. And he can even date the Baron Rex dude. I don't even care. I ship them.
I feel like it's Namura being salty.
Although they do look like twins. I was like, I mean, they're the same person. Like, Riku is this kid.
I love how they mention it too. They're like, oh yeah, the pose. That's more Riku's pose.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god. If Riku would have gone to Toy Story, even for a minute, that would have been great. For Rex to just freak out.
Oh yeah, Rex would have lost his mind.
Now we're back to why we should have had them exploring other worlds instead of Sora. Great. This marks the end of part 1 of our Kingdom Hearts episode. Come back for part 2 next week.